The non-stop radio show.
Non-stop hip-hop.
The hottest underground hip-hop and R&B show on this side of the net.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. It's your host, EMillio EgBar, back at it once again, saying thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune in here and listen to tonight's presentation. And if you haven't done so yet, it would definitely mean the world to us if you go follow us on IG at EJP_entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now at the point of our show where we are joined by tonight's special guest. And please, on the line with us right now, we have calling all the way from Houston, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, we have Carriesa. So please help me welcome her to the show. Carriesa, how's everything?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. Thank you for calling in. We definitely appreciate your time, and thank you for taking the opportunity to, call in here, share your experience and your story with us. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys.
No problem. So, with that being said, we like to start this part of the segment off with giving our guests, the opportunity at the beginning to, introduce themselves to the audience, tell them a little bit about themselves. So if you would, please, the floor is all yours.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Carriesa. As was stated earlier, I'm from Houston, Texas. I am a church girl. I grew up in church. I'm a PK. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and I've been doing that practically my entire life. And that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Just trying to do my thing,
I hear that. So shout out to you for being a PK, because I also grew up a PK myself as well. So I definitely know what that's like.
So they say about PKs, is that true with you?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, how has, growing up in the church and doing all those things with music, in a church setting help you with your career today?
It's my foundation, I started playing piano when I was 4. I didn't start playing in church until I was 9. I was playing in one of my uncle's church at the time. And even to this day, I'm still a church musician. But that's my foundation. That's why I got my start. Pretty much all of my family either plays some type of instrument or sing or does something musically. So I didn't really have too much of a choice so that plays a huge part in my life, because the church is really what keeps me grounded, especially in this industry. So
now, being that you have the the church background, would you say that your music is basically gospel, or is it alternative? Is it a little bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything. I actually work and write for other artists. I've written for different genres, not just gospel and R&B. I've also done EDM, house, rock, pop, the whole 9 yards. So I'm not just rooted to gospel, but that's my main foundation of everything.
I've been hearing that a lot here today, and also, throughout the course of other times that I've heard, artists speak about, EDM. And when it comes to EDM, for those of y'all out there that don't understand, that's called electric dance music. What's the new craze about EDM? Because, I hear, and I listen to some EDM joints, and it do kind of get me moving out my seat a little bit and all that good stuff. But what's been the craze about it? I hear a lot of, artists, and producers venturing into the EDM realm.
So with the EDM, in my opinion, being on the production side of it, I feel like EDM is more focused on the production, the music, and that's what gets the fans. Because most EDM songs that I hear, the ones that hit, are lyrically simple. It's simplified. So, you go to the clubs or go to lounges or wherever you hear the EDM song, and people and kids go crazy over it. I think they're just going crazy over the feeling of the beat of the song. Not really too much listening to the lyrics, but the lyrics are just overly simplified. simplified in my, excuse me. I think that's the main thing with EDM because it really drives an audience.
Now, with that
in
being,
live,
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, especially in live concerts.
Now, do you do a lot of like live performances, or do you just stick to the the production element of producing music?
I do mostly like the production side of it. I'm getting back. I haven't really done any live shows ever since like the pandemic started. But I plan on getting back to that in 2023. We're actually working on that. Can't speak too much on it, but we're getting back to it. And yeah, that's pretty much what my direction is with this industry. I try to focus more on the creative side and the production side. That's where I get the most joy.
Got you. Now, do you enjoy working with others and producing music for them, or do you enjoy working on your own music?
Both, but I really, really enjoy working on other people's, projects because, everyone has their own story, right? So it amazes me to hear, what people go through, and I'm an empath, so I think that's why it's a little easy for me. It's easier for me to write for other people, and I enjoy, hearing other people's stories.
Now, who's some of the people that you have worked with? Like, you worked with mostly like local artists within the Houston area, or have you expanded outside of that?
I work with a lot of local people, and I work with artists like across the world. I used to be on those freelance sites back in the day. But I've worked with different artists all over the country, actually. And I've collabed with them, and yeah.
Now, when it comes to your own music, I see that you do have a single out right now that I was listening to before you called in, called Radar. Now, a lot of people out there, when they hear it for the first time, the term radar, they probably would think something, technical when you think of the term. But in actuality, it's more so of from what I'm getting from it, it's more so a song of you reaching out, to your higher power. So with that being said, like, what inspired you to, create this single?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. So that song, I actually started production of that song like 3 years ago. And I reached out to one of the songwriters that I worked on with the song. And I was talking to him about what I was dealing with at the time. Because if you listen to the song and the lyrics, it's kind of dark a little bit. But really, really dark time at that time. And, we put together the chorus, and I just kind of put it on the back burner, got busy, pandemic and all that stuff was going on. And then I took another huge hit last year. I lost a few of my companies, and I went back into a really, really depressed, dark place. And so just finished out the song, and then I felt like, it was the right time to release it, because I've just been dealing with that for the longest. And I felt like it was time to, release something that, in my opinion, felt a little bit more real than what's really been being put out right now. And people can really relate to this song, because, I just want people to understand that it's okay to not be okay. And this song, when I say in the chorus, "Am I on your radar?" You were right. Like that was me really crying out to God. Like, do you see me down here struggling? Like, I know I, messed up. I know I strayed away. But you're gonna come fix it anytime soon, basically. So yeah.
So now, with that being said, that's very, deep stuff right there. And I gotta ask, like, how are you feeling right now, like, mentally? Because, that's one of the biggest things, a lot of us tend to neglect is our own mental well-being. And, and when we often are, in a position where we're talking about it, sometimes a lot of us don't want to because of the stigma that comes along with, anything that has to do with mental health. So, like, where are you at right now? Like, what kind of place are you in right now?
Right now, I'm okay. I'm good right now.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm good. I got some help and all that stuff when I was dealing with all that. And I'm a strong, firm believer in that. you know, we can do this by ourselves, you know. But yeah, that's where I'm at. You know, when I was, like I said, when I was in production of this song, and you know, a little bit post production as well, I was in a very, very, very dark place. And like I said, you can kind of feel it, and hopefully you can. Hopefully you can feel it and you can hear it in the song, in the emotions of the song, because that was me just kind of just letting it out. And I'm gonna be honest, like when I created the song, when I released the song, I really didn't have the energy nor the will to push this song like the way that I am, because I didn't expect it to do as well as it's doing right now. I thought it was just going to be a song just for my listeners to hear, you know, this is what I'm going through, and for them to connect with me and whatnot. But it's been doing really well, and I've been getting a really good response from it. So, yeah, I'm good.
That's good to hear. Was that one of those songs, like after you finished writing it and, you know, after you produced it and performed it and everything like that, was those one of those ones that you look back and was like, wow, I really poured out a lot of emotion into this record? Yeah, I think that's one of the most vulnerable times that I've ever recorded in the studio. And it was crazy because I don't know if you ever if you're an artist or anything like that, if you ever recorded, but it's like when you go to the studio, you pour out, right? But when the songs are over and you're analyzing your songs and you're hearing your songs, when I heard this song back, especially after it was mixed and mastered, I was like, wow, like I didn't know I was that deep into it. So, and it kind of, I'm gonna be honest, it scared me a little bit, but I think that's what we need. I think people need to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have weak moments. It's okay to not be okay, like I said before. So right. As long as we get help, we understand, the importance and how essential it is to be mentally healthy. We won't have a great life until we get that right, Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah.
Now, let me ask you, prior to, this single Radar, have you ever been vulnerable on any prior works of music that you've done before? Or is this the first time you kind of just let it all pour out onto a record?
Well, yeah, I have, but it wasn't as deep as this song was. I have an album that I released last year or year before last, I can't remember. And there's a couple of songs on there where I was kind of in a vulnerable place, but it wasn't as deep or as honest, I guess you could say. Well, I don't want to say honest, but it wasn't as vulnerable as I was with Radar. And Radar is really personal to me. So.
Now, speaking on, your project that you just put out, a year ago, what has been the response for that one? If you care to, take us a little bit inside of, what that process was like.
So that album, I actually first released it about 3 years ago as an EP. And I, let my team hear it at the time. And one of my PR guys at the time, he was telling me, he was like, you know what, you need to make this a full album. And so I had some singles that I released after that, and so I added that to my album, and I added a couple other songs as well. And came together and released it about 2 years later as an album. And then we got it, submitted to the Recording Academy. It got considered for 2 of the songs on the album got considered for 2 Grammys. And then, and it hit. It did pretty well. It hit almost 3 or 4 million streams.
Nice.
So total so far. So, but it's still climbing. We're still doing well with it.
Now,
that was a journey.
Now, looking and seeing those numbers that you know have accumulated thus far, what was the feeling to you then when you looked and see all of those numbers?
Back then?
Mm-hmm. Well, back then, right now, you know, how was your reaction to that?
Well, you know, it's crazy because, you know, as an artist, like I'm the type of artist where I'm solely like focused on, you know, the artistry. And, you know, it's typical. Most artists they're more worried about how fans are going to react to their work. And, you know, we overthink and all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of mindset I have when I listen to my music. And it's crazy because when people tell me and they reach back out to me about how certain songs help them or you know, the reactions that I get from people who listen to my songs, I be at amazed with myself because I don't even realize that, you know, people are really being touched by, like, it hits you different when people tell you that, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so this is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm meant to do. Yeah, it's just crazy to hear people, you know, get back to me, because I listen. People write me all the time, and I listen and I read them, and I'm like, it's crazy, man.
I can imagine. Like, I remember when there was, you know, a point when I was actively, you know, pursuing, you know, a career as an artist, just getting feedback from somebody, even if it's just one person. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe you really got that much out of a song that I did. So, like, I understand how that feels. Do you still get that way?
Yeah, it's always like the song that you don't really like the most. But it's like your least favorite song is what fans love the most.
Oh yeah.
And but I'm still grateful. I'm just grateful that, you know, people are listening, they're loving it, and I tell people this all the time. You know, I don't really care about the accolades and all that stuff. Like, I'm grateful for it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really more focused on people being inspired and being helped by my music, and feeling better, or feeling like they can relate and that like they're not alone in this, you know. So that's my main concern.
Now, with that, you know, that dark time that you was going through, have you used that as like motivation to help, you know, other people that's going through that struggle through your music, or even, you know, like interpersonal relationships that you have with people that may be going through a hard time as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I look at this like as you know, I'm going back to my church roots. I look at this as like like this is what I'm called to do. This is what I feel like I'm called to do. And again, like, even when I go to different events for church, and most people who know me, they know I sing in a gospel group. So whenever we travel, and we get different people, you know, hitting us up, with everybody in my group that I sing with, they do, you know, their own individual stuff. People hit us up all the time. And it just amazes me, like, that people, I'm just amazed at how God works. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, it's just crazy how people are just touched by this. And you never think, I never think in a million years that people would be, this amount of people would be listening like this, you know. I'm just grateful.
I totally understand. I definitely do, you know, feel you. It's always a grateful feeling when you have a body of work that people tend to gravitate to, whether it's music or whether it's something outside of that. It's always good to see something that you put so much hard work and effort into manifest itself in a way where it comes back that is actually affecting people's life in a positive manner, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, you know, with this, you know, particular single being out right now, you know, we spoke, you know, previously about, you know, your last project that you put out. 2022 is on its way to being wrapped up. So what can we expect from you going forward for the rest of this year and into next year? You know, we heard you mention that in 2023, you plan to get out and do more performances and perform live. So what else can we expect from you?
So yeah, I'm going to be, I'm working on it now. Hopefully I can have some new music released by early 2023. And like I said before, you know, of course, Hopefully I can do some live events and some other things with some stuff that I can't really speak on, of course, but there's some things that we got lined up, and and some more projects I'm working with and collaborating with some people, and just stay tuned.
Now I gotta ask you this, because this is the impression I get when I'm sitting here now and I'm looking at your picture. Do people ever tell you that you kind of remind them of Missy Elliott a little bit?
Yeah, I get that all the time, every day.
It's not something that's like a pet peeve to you, is it?
No, I mean, I take it as a compliment. You
Okay.
know, Missy Elliott is a beautiful woman. So.
Oh, absolutely. I asked because, I remember I used to draw comparisons to people before, and they be like, yo, you kind of remind me of Craig Mack, or you kind of remind me of Raekwon and everything like that. So I'm like, yo,
I mean, I'm honored that they, that's what they see.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, okay, cool. So with that being said, with that, that question out the way now, I gotta ask you, when it's all said and done, as far as, we heard you say, you're not really looking or really caring too much about the accolades. You're more so looking to being able to, reach people and help people with situations that they're going through. But, personally for yourself, once, everything is all said and done and you decide that you want to step away from music, permanently, what do you hope to have accomplished throughout the course of your career?
I hope to have, well, I guess that's a good question. I just hope to have, my music change as many lives as possible. Like, I'm not really, like I said before, it's not really about the accolades for me. If I do get to that point, of course I'm grateful, but I wake up every morning and I have a routine every morning, and I meditate for an hour before I start anything. I meditate and I, give my gratitude to God and do my whatnot. And I always pray that I will be the best version of myself. If not, I'll get to that point. And so hopefully by the end of my career, quote unquote, I guess you can say, I have surpassed that level, and people have been, affected in the positive realm, So.
I like that answer right there. And, with that being said, also, like, with everything that's going on and all that good stuff, like, and your 2023 schedule coming up real soon, are you looking to go outside of Texas and do things, or are you looking to stay within Texas for right now and then venture out as you feel more comfortable with, the pandemic ending and all that?
Oh no, I'm looking to venture out. Yeah, that's my thing. Texas is cool. I love Texas, but I'm looking to get out, get back out there.
That's what's up. And you just said something also too that I wanted to ask you about: meditation. I hear that a lot, and I've heard, various accounts of people when it comes to their experiences with meditating. Like, what, got you into meditating? Not just, going back to, the dark times, but is this something that you was doing prior to that? It's something that I'm very interested in, because I hear like meditation is good for you. My only thing is I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, so there's different types, of course, of meditation. And the type that I focus on is spiritual meditation. I go into a deep prayer. Like, when I pray, again, that church is coming out of me. Like, I go in and I just sit there and I just focus on one thing. And I focus on God, and I focus on everything that I'm grateful for. And I'm a huge fan of Steve Harvey. I listen to all this motivational, videos and all this stuff. And I remember he was talking about starting your day, how you start your day, and how gratitude would always overcome negativity, always overcome depression. And that's what helped me get over my dark time. So I always recommend meditation. If you're going to do meditation, I would recommend spiritual. If you're a spiritual person, if not, I would focus on focus meditation. That's a different type of meditation to look into. But it really, really helps your body spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Especially if you're into like fitness and all that stuff. But I would recommend that. It's helped me a lot. It has changed my life drastically. I'm not even gonna lie, since I started. So it's helped me to stay more focused and help. It's really helped my drive and helped me with my depression when I was depressed.
Yeah, I need to get into it like yesterday because it's just like, like that peace of mind, especially with everything that's going on right now. You can sit here all day, you can do things that you love, but when you are distracted by everything else that's happening in and around the world, you got to find another way to release that frustration or release that energy out there. And that's one of the reasons why I'm getting so interested, even more so, into meditation.
Yes, man. You got to protect your energy and your peace. And this is the perfect way to do it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And with that being said, Carriesa, we definitely do want to take the time to say thank you once again for you, spending some time with us here, sharing your story with us, being an open book and being able to talk about, even some of the bad experiences that you've dealt with in your life, man. We truly do appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me again.
You're absolutely welcome. And before we let you go, we just want to ask, like, for anybody that's out there listening right now, especially like, other platforms that may be tuned in listening right now, or other artists, or even, some fans that's listening right now that would like to reach out to you, how can they make that possible?
You can reach out to me on Instagram. I actually do respond. You can reach out to me at Carriesa2, that's CarriesATWO. Or you can hit me up on TikTok. It's the same thing, Carriesa2. And let me know what you're thinking.
No doubt. And for everybody else, I want to hear what you thinking with this new single that we're about to get into from Carriesa, and it's called Radar. Once again, here on the show, folks, and for all of y'all out there that's tuned in and listening right now, please make sure you keep it locked. We'll be back with much more right after this.
Want to be heard on the Nonstop Radio Show? Send us your submissions in MP3 format at Let's Network Musically 212@gmail.com.
This is Nonstop Radio.